Welcome, everyone, to Big League Dreaming, the podcast, a show about baseball, dreams, and family. I'm John Gonzalez, the dad, and if you're new to Big League Dreaming, the format of this show is a dad and his three sons talking about the game they love. Well, today's is a little different because we've only got one of the three sons. It seems like we had some conflict of things going on as a family, but we decided to do the podcast because we're going to have a return guest on today's episode. And let's first, before we get to our guest, let's introduce son number one who's on today's podcast. It's Zack Gonzalez. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina, and he's also our resident Mariners fan. Zack, how you doing down in Charlotte? I heard there was a little snow down there.
There was, if you want to call it that. It wasn't even where I'm at. It wasn't even an inch. It barely stuck to the ground, but my daughters were freaking out anyway, so it worked out.
That's awesome. Well, it's good to see you. I know your brothers were bummed they couldn't make it today because this guest that we're going to have on today is someone we had in season 2, episode 2 of Big League Dreaming, the podcast, and we're on season number 5. So a lot has happened since 2002. And this next guest, why don't you introduce him and what made you want to bring him back on the show?
Yeah, really excited about this one. So this is our second return guest. Our other one, Scott Kornberg, we had him back on the show when he got called up to be the broadcaster for the Marlins to make his debut doing that. Had to get our boy Grant Wolfram back on the podcast today because just last month he signed a major league contract with the Milwaukee Brewers. So this is like a congratulatory to one of our friends of the show, to Grant, essentially making his big league dreams come true. So Grant, thanks for chatting with us for a little bit before you get over to spring training.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be back on here.
Well, it's great. Yeah, it's great to have you back on the show. But you know a little bit about snow too, right? But you're a Michigan native.
Oh yeah. I'm in Holland right now, and we're getting blasted with lake effect. I walked out today before I went through today and worked out and stuff, and I like called my wife. I was like, I can't believe all the snow. I was just like laughing, like cleaning off my truck because the last couple of years we were in Texas, so I didn't have to deal with that. But I saw. Dallas had some snow a couple days ago, actually, which was kind of crazy. So, but yeah, it's just unbelievable how much we have here.
And we also should say happy birthday, right? Did you just turn 28?
Yeah, I just turned 28 December 12th. So it was a good birthday present when I signed.
It was about that same time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a day before. So, yeah.
So you were getting congratulations text and happy birthday text
Yeah,
at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It was like congrats and then happy birthday. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Well, why don't you fill everyone in here on your recent contract signing with the Brewers? Because the last time we talked to you, it was spring training of 2022, and you were hopeful to keep moving up. You were talking about getting a chance to play at Double-A for a season in Frisco, and you were like, with the big league dreams, you're hoping that you still had a chance to get there, and you felt like you were on the right path. A lot has happened in the last couple of years, but this contract, what does it mean? You're going to be on the 40-man roster, right?
Yeah. So basically, do you kind of want me to just start, with the whole process? Yeah.
Let's pick it up in 2022.
Yeah. Well, since 2022, that was like that's crazy. That year kind of was when I kind of started to have a little bit of a takeoff in my career. I would say I struggled at the beginning of the year. Started working with a sports psychologist through a family friend. Totally changed my career. Totally changed my mindset. And then about 2 months into the season, I started working with him and just flipped the switch. I was just pitching lights out the rest of the year. I ended up getting invited to the fall league, pitched lights out there. I don't think I gave up a run in like 10 innings, or I gave up 1 run in 10 innings or something like that. Made the all-star team, pitched well. We ended up winning the whole Arizona fall league, and we won the Double-A championship in 22 as well. So I just kind of carried that momentum into the next year. In 23, I think I went the month of April without giving up a run. They called me up to AAA, struggled a little bit, got sent back down to Double-A, and then I had like 48 innings of a 2 ERA and a bunch of strikeouts, and got invited to big league camp this past season. Threw in 2 big league games. I got the win in one and got the save in the other. So that was cool. Um, and then yeah, they sent me back to Double A again, which I was kind of I was a little frustrated, but that's just kind of how the ball rolls when they sign old vets that are a little bit more big league ready than a guy with no service time. So I was just like, well, I just gotta continue to pitch well and prove to them that I'm worthy of a spot on that roster. Just started out. I threw 2 outings. I think I struck out everyone except for one hitter, and then I got sent back up to AAA. And then I was there the rest of the year and had a great year. And then, yeah, I thought, I thought I had a legitimate shot of getting called up, but ultimately, it was when you're at that level, there's only one spot typically that pops up throughout the year, based through injuries or whatever it may be, right? And if you're left-handed, right-handed, or you're an outfielder or whatever, you just have to fit the need of the team at that point. And I just don't think that there's a need for me to get called up throughout the year. You could probably argue that there were multiple times, but the Rangers just never felt like that, and they were trying to compete, so they traded for some veteran arms and things like that. That just kind of, once the trade deadline happened, I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't think I'm going to get a shot here now. So then I was just like, you know what? This is my last year of my contract. I just got to pitch well, and then see what happens in free agency. And then, yeah, it started out great. I totally kind of just forgot about free agency. Really, like the date. I didn't know when it was, the exact date, but there's a window before free agency that the Rangers could re-sign you, or your former team could sign you back. And I just wasn't really interested in that, just based on the last couple of years. And so we just kind of went our separate ways. And then I was just hanging out. I think I was like watching football or something with my wife, because she was 9 months pregnant at the time. And all of a sudden my phone started blowing up. I was like, hey, this is so and so from the Giants, so and so from the Brewers. And then I was like, holy cow, I guess free agency started. So then it went that down that road. And then I ended up, I think at the beginning it was all minor league talk, like minor league contract talk. And I had 18 teams reach out. So then I had a go through each team, get to know each team, Zoom calls. Some I went out to their stadium. They gave me tours. Some I drove to and checked out the fields and all that. I didn't know that was part of the process. That was all new to me, it was awesome. I mean, there's a lot of great organizations and a lot of really good people in baseball. So it was cool. It was cool to get to know them and go through that. But yeah, things just kind of progressed, and I was like, okay, like I kind of, settled with my like top 5 teams. I kind of like went from my list of 18 teams, and then whittled it down to 10, whittled it down to 5, and then kind of was like, okay, these are the 5 that I want to get offers from. And then, the holidays started, Thanksgiving started, and Majin's like, just enjoy Thanksgiving. Don't worry about this, just enjoy family. And then I think it was either the day or the second day after Thanksgiving, he gave me a call and he was like, all these teams are like blowing me up, but they're wanting to get something done with you. And he's like, I've been in this for 30 plus years. I really think I can get you a major league contract right now at this point. And that's kind of how it went. He went about it, and then ultimately, a team stepped up with an offer, and then if another team wanted to get me, they had to match that. So that's kind of what happened, and then I ended up getting around 6 total. So then, yeah, I just kind of had to make a decision after that, which team I wanted to pick. So I ultimately went with the Brewers, but yeah.
What made you pick the Brewers?
They've just had a lot of success, in pitching development, especially with guys similar to me, without any service time or big league time. A guy that comes to mind is Jared Koenig is a guy that I remember I played against him in AAA a little bit. I think he got called up with the Padres brief, but like not a lot of service time. They signed him. made a couple tweaks with him, and then he was in their big league bullpen, pitching in high leverage spots all year last year. Not a huge market team, Midwest team, Midwest values, things that I think are important that I kind of grew up on too. I like the location. It's only 3.5, 4 hours away from where our house is, and especially with a baby now, that's nice to be in driving distance. And yeah, I think they win when they don't spend a lot of money. They kind of work with what they got, and they know what they're doing. They liked me for who I am and how I pitch. They didn't see a need to change a whole lot. Maybe tweak it, a fastball here or there, added to like a sinker, just kind of refine the tools that I have. Yeah, they really showed a lot of confidence in my stuff right now as it stands, and they genuinely had like genuine interest from the very beginning, and we're just honest, the whole time. I really liked my conversations that I had with them. So.
Well, Grant, on the last podcast, we covered a lot about your background, being from Hamilton, originally starting out at Central Michigan University, transferring to Division II, playing for Davenport University, which put you on the radar with Zack over there, who's an alum of Davenport as well. I think you know that.
Yep.
We also know you played for the Kalamazoo Growlers. In fact, did you and Zane, the youngest Gonzalez, did you guys play on that Growlers team in 2016?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, Zane couldn't make the podcast today. He goes, I think you might have brought it up last time, and Ty's like, oh yeah, the other son, he's like, oh yeah, he remembers you. And Zane's like, I don't think so, because it was brief. We just had a few conversations. It wasn't anything major, because that's when Zane played for the Growlers that same season. But my whole point is like, you have a really good story, right? Of like persevering. You didn't go to a marquee college. In other words, a southern school.
Yeah.
You're from a small Midwest town. You have had some success along the way. A few injuries here and there, right? Just trying to find your way. I also went back and listened to the 2022 interview. By the way, folks, you can do that. It's still available on our podcast. Just search for Big League Dreaming. But in that interview, you were talking about how you might still want to be a starter. And now it looks like you're definitely a reliever. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But let's stick with college for a second. Zack, I know that you being an alum of Davenport, everyone in Davenport's excited about Grant's success, right?
Absolutely. First one to make it. Well, probably first for Hamilton High School Hawkeyes or whatever they are too. I would guess. I don't even know.
Yeah, I think so. There was 2 other guys drafted. I think it was his last name is Yost. That was I think in like the 60s or 70s, I believe. And then Rymick, he played at Western and got drafted by the Tigers, but I don't know. I think he played at the AA level, I believe. I don't know if he got to AAA or not, but yeah.
Well, many more Panthers to come, hopefully.
Yeah. They got some good arms, solid arms there right now. I actually went up there this past week and practiced with them and threw to some hitters. So yeah, they got some good talent over there right now too. So.
Well, I think it's pretty cool that you're able to do that and kind of give back to your school. But I think it also shows about big league dreaming, right? I mean, you're knocking on the door. You're on the 40-man roster. You're going to be at spring training, and you're going to feel that pressure a little bit. But I would imagine I was going to ask you earlier I was going to ask you on this podcast today, like what changed for you, and it sounds like you already addressed that. And I'm really curious about the mental aspect of the game, because you look around, like you mentioned, even Davenport today has talent, and there's talent everywhere. But how do you take that talent and how do you refine it and keep moving up and dealing with the lack of success sometimes?
Yeah, I think I was actually talking to the pitching coach at Davenport about this past week. I just kind of, just something that was just a thought that kind of came to my mind. Something that I've just always had, I guess my mindset is I've always, had the self-belief and self-conviction in myself I just always thought I could make it to the big leagues. I always was like, this is what I want to do. I know I can achieve this. What does that look like? And I think early on, I put a little bit of pressure on myself trying to be too perfect. When in reality, you put in the time, you put in the reps, and then you fall back on, the practicing and all that hard work. And then when it's game time, you just go out and have fun, right? And compete rather than get caught up on like the little things that you're trying to focus on, right? You're just in compete mode. You're not so hyper focused on like, oh, like, is my back leg stable? Like, do I feel like I'm getting into my, like certain things that you're practicing on in practice. I just think the mindset is what changed for me is like, I just kind of want to be a dog when I'm out on the mound. Like, I want to assert my presence. I'm 6'8", 245. I want to look that, and I want the batter to feel that. So when I stand out there, I got a couple different rituals that I do. I like kind of stand there, big chest, before I make my first pitch in my inning. Say a little acronym that I have that kind of fires me up, and then it's go time. And just like little things like that have really helped me out. But yeah,
Zach, I'm sure you got some questions about that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I feel like when I was coaching at Calvin, we went to Florida. I forgot what team we were playing, and this reliever came in, and he was getting so hyped, he started smacking himself in the face.
Yeah,
We're like, "What is this guy doing?" So
yeah,
hopefully
yeah.
your ritual isn't anything crazy like that, Grant.
Nah, it's not. It's nothing like that. It's pretty subtle. You kind of got to be paying attention to see it. It's nothing like super bold that people will really notice. It's pretty low key, but it's just something that kind of keeps me centered and keeps me, at the level that I want to work at and pitch at.
So when you made that commitment with the Brewers, do you know any players in their organization or any staff members? Did anybody reach out to you? Who are the people
No,
that reached out?
I only knew one staff member. He was my Double A pitching coach in 22. He's now like the rehab pitching coordinator, I believe, for the Brewers. But they just traded for one of my best friends from the Rangers, Grant Anderson. So that was sweet. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy cow, how like what a small world that is that the Brewers trade for him. So yeah, it'll be nice to have him there, him and his wife, and then they have a baby boy. So my wife will have someone to hang out with, and then our sons will be able to hang out too. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool, and it's great to see a young family. I mean, baseball is such a family thing, right, at the professional level, and it's a small community, and you have to kind of rely on each other to get through the ups and downs. But let's talk a little bit about spring training. I'm assuming you're going to report like around middle of February and
Yep.
settle into. Is this your third spring training?
As far as big league spring training, this will only be my second. My first big league spring training I went to was last year. I got invited. I was like an extra the year before. They call them major league extras. I went to the big league games. I wasn't in big league camp. I was there to back up or clean up an inning if a big league arm that was in big league camp, went over their pitch limit, was struggling in an inning, and they didn't want to burn someone that was scheduled that day. But yeah, this will be my second big league camp.
So what's the mindset? What's your goal and how you're going to approach this
Yeah,
this
yeah.
big league camp?
My goal is, I want to come in as ready as I can be, like mid-season form. I really want to, showcase what I got and really push for a spot, in that bullpen. I really think I can do it. I think I'm in a pretty good spot right now based on the few bullpens that I've thrown. I've been very pleased with with where my stuff's at. So I'm just hoping that it'll translate when I'm out there, and then just have good success when I get out there and face hitters.
Well, I know you must be excited to work with the Brewers staff and everybody that they have, just to get some new eyes on you and see what they have to say, how they can help you. I know you said, they may not necessarily plan on changing a bunch of stuff with you, but just to like
Mm-hmm.
get some affirmation and some more motivation from different types of
Yeah.
people and things like that. And I know the Rangers do a great job with their pitching, with their pitchers, especially the last 5 years or so. I feel like in the Rangers organization, their arms have just taken off. I mean, the obvious ones are Kumar Rocker and Leiter, but I mean, these guys are just coming out of nowhere, like Alejandro Rosario,
Yeah.
Emiliano Teodo, Jose Corniel. It's like these guys are just rising up these prospect rankings like crazy. Speak a little bit about what the Rangers do right and how much they did for you in your career?
Yeah, I think there was definitely some good coaches there, at each level. You know, I could talk for days for all the people that helped me there in my career. I'm super thankful for what they did. I wouldn't be in this spot if I wasn't able to work with them. A couple guys, that are a couple. I mean, there's so many. Seriously, the more I'm thinking, I'm like, if I say two, then I'm leaving. 10 of them out. But Danny Clark was an old pitching coordinator, long time pitching coordinator there. He really helped me when I was there during my career there. Jordan Teagues, who just got promoted to the bullpen pitching coach for the Rangers, he was great for me as well. Things that they do well, I think, they really kind of just, your career, they kind of let you, figure out who you are. They don't really push you one way or the other. They're pretty open on your ideas, but they'll also tell you like, hey, we think that this is going to work, or we think this pitch usage is going to work versus what you're trying to do, and then this is the data that backs that up. So I think I learned a lot in that way, where my stuff plays, the usage percentage, what I should be throwing in certain counts, what gets me swing and miss, things like that. Yeah, I think they're really good at that.
Following up on that, what is your arsenal makeup these days? Because it seems like the last time we talked to you, you were your changeup was coming along. So
Yeah.
what are you throwing these days?
Heaters up in the zone. Let it ride.
Yeah, yeah. Four seams up, sliders, a lot of sliders, curveballs. I added a two seam slash sinker that I'm working on, so hopefully I'll have like three distinguished fastballs. Like a runner two seam, sinker, and then like a cut ride four seam. So that's my goal, and then the sliders. Been my pitch throughout my whole career, so I'll just keep riding that as long as I can.
The Devin Williams changeup. You'll need to get that.
Yeah. That's tough. That's a tough one to get. When it's got its own name, the Airbender, I don't know how many people are going to be able to, repeat that and do that.
Well, Grant, we really respect your time, and appreciate you jumping on. I do, since we're in the new year and it's January, I do want to ask kind of like my final question, I guess. What are some New Year's resolutions, I guess? What are some of your goals for this year?
Oh
New
man,
team, new organization, new member to your family with a little baby.
yeah,
So, what are some goals for 2025 for Grant?
yeah. Obviously, pitch in the big leagues at some point. Yeah, I'd love to stick on the team as long as I can, pitch for them, make playoffs. The goal's obviously to win a World Series. So to win a World Series in Milwaukee would be sweet. Yeah, and I don't know, just be the best father that I can be, and best husband I can be, and brother I can be. Yeah. It's all cool. It's all new for me. First one, baby boy. So I think it'll be cool that he'll be able to, watch me play baseball and come to the games with mom and stuff like that, and grow up around the game. I think that's pretty special.
Grant, you have to pinch yourself when you say that. Like, I mean, what you just said there is like, well, get to the World Series with a championship. I mean, that's stuff that you just dream about as a kid, hearing
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
right? That someday you're going to be able to say that and actually mean it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, I mean, it's definitely, I'm on the roster, and then all it takes is, a few good outings, and you never know, or whatever the case may be, and I'm in that spot, right? So you gotta just kind of have that mindset and already, prepare in advance. So then when you're in that spot, the lights aren't too big. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good feeling. It's exciting. You spend 7 years of pro ball, then previously to that, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, all that, playing baseball, and this is the ultimate goal. Is there's really not a level higher than this. So yeah, I'm just really excited.
Well, Zach, I'm
That's
going to look at
awesome.
the calendar and see when the Brewers are in town
I
in
was I was
Comerica.
just gonna say let's turn on alerts for Brewers transactions, and let's catch the flight. Let's go see the debut.
We'll be
Yeah,
there. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be there.
yeah, it'd be sweet.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Grant, for joining the Big League Dreaming podcast. We have you back. You're our second repeat guest that we've had in 5 years. And, if Scott Kornberg is any indication, he spent some time there and got his major league debut, we'll have to have you on. You'll be our first guest with 3 appearances when you make that
That'd be
debut. So
sweet.
that would be great. Zach, you want to let people know how to follow Big League Dreaming the podcast if this is their first time listening to the show?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us on all of the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify. You can also find us on YouTube if you want to see the video version of this. Actually, I think the video version we put on Spotify as well. So, but that's where you can find us. Follow us on Twitter X at BLDpod at BLDPOD, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for listening.
All right, Grant. Thanks again.
Yeah, you guys have a good one. Thank you for having me.
All right, Dad. So stop recording and then.